Race 8 of the 2022 ADAC Formula 4 Germany season takes place in Zandvoort on the North Sea coast, just outside of Amsterdam. And yesterday, reaching the highest of highs, was Andrea Kimi Antonelli with another victory in what has been a splendorous season for the young Italian. His 6th win from 7 races to this point so far. He's had 6 podiums this year, and he's been on the top step for each of them. Here is the young Italian racer, just 15 years of age. Andrea Kimi Antonelli currently leading the championship points by 35, 162 points coming out of yesterday's race. This man, Raffaele Camara, the closest competition on 127 points. Camara, incidentally, comfortably leading the rookie element of the championship at the moment. Charlie Wirtz in 3rd position. Of course, these grid orders are determined by the qualifying 2 from yesterday. They did 2 qualifyings on the bat on Saturday morning. And these are the qualifying 2 results that form the grid for this one. We are going to be rolling on the formation lap in just a few moments. You saw that the marshals have already displayed a lot of the boards, so we are going to get them underway in the formation lap in just a few moments, and we will be underway shortly. It was a great battle yesterday for the 3rd step on the podium. Konrad Larsen defending up against the likes of Nikita Bedrin and Stenshorn as well. Taylor Barnard, I think, involved at various points too. It was certainly a compelling race, and James Wharton just missing out on the podium. He was the main challenger to Konrad Larsen yesterday in that battle for 3rd. The Prema Power Team cars once again looking strong, but Nikita Bedrin definitely has podium pace in the PHM racing car this weekend. We'll have to see if anyone else can match them now in race 2. I'm sure some teams have been working hard to get the cars into a better place for race 2 of the weekend. You see that it's certainly not a sunny day here. Let's see if the rain holds off. Starting grid then, it is Andrea Kimi Antonelli and Raffaele Camara on the front row of the grid. Raffaele Camara, the Brazilian driver, up against the Italian Antonelli. Charlie Wirtz and James Wharton on row 2 of the grid. Nikita Bedrin and Taylor Barnard for PHM Racing on row 3. Prema's Konrad Larsen and Van Amersfoort's Brando Bedoya on row 4. Row 5 is Martinez Stenshorn and Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. Arias Doikmejian and Rasmus Jutsmies on row 6. Maya Berg starting alongside Valentin Klus on row 7. Michael Sauter on row 8 alongside Nadhadvid Biron Bakhti. Samir Ben on row 9, along with hopefully Jonas Reed. He was clutching his wrist yesterday after a collision at turn 8, so let's hope that he is taking the start for this one. Jules Castro starting at the back of the order in the 96 car. Didn't quite spot whether Reed was there or not. I'll try and keep an eye on that as they line up on the grid ahead of this half-hour race for the ADAC Formula 4 Championship. Bright and early start to the day for everybody then here in the ADAC F4 paddock. 2 races today. We've got this one, and then we round out the day's racing here at Zandvoort with more Formula 4 action at 4:30 local time. So 2 opportunities for the drivers to score points today. And for Andrea Kimi Antonelli, it's a chance to score a 7th win in 8 races. But he's got a lot of competition behind him, both from his Prema awning mates and the wider grid. Keep an eye on Bedrin. He could be a good starter here. You see the gathered masses down in the pit lane waiting to see this race get started. Looks like we do indeed have Jonas Reed there. I can see the PHM Racing 41 car by the looks of it just lining up. So it looks as though Jonas Reed has been able to go racing again today. So hopefully nothing too painful for his wrist yesterday after the collision with Brando Bedoya. Green flag waves at the back of the grid. The lights are ticking away. We're going to go racing. And they are off. It's a good start from just about everybody on the first two rows, but none better than Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who leads into the first corner. Kamara holds on to second place. On the offensive there is one of the PHM cars, trying to go around the outside of Charlie for James Wharton, and doesn't find the room. Now, was that Barnard or Bedrin? That was Bedrin, who ended up on the gravel there for just a few moments. He's now in amongst the Van Amersfoort cars. He's got 4 Van Amersfoort cars chasing him around. Hugenholtz for the first time. But the leader, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, on this first lap. 30 minutes of racing. We should get, I think, about 18 laps in total of this venue, the home of the Dutch Grand Prix. It's an old school layout. It's certainly a track with character, and it's a track where overtaking is reserved for the very most skilled and the very most brave. Through turn 8 they go now, turn 9 they go at the moment, I should say. This little S-bend section. You see there side-by-side action further back. One of that was Michael Sauter on the inside, I believe, of Kloos for a moment there. Maya Berg looks like she's lost a couple of positions there on the first lap in the Iron Dames car. But Antonelli already with a good gap. I think that's already out over a second for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. The bright young star. Oh, contact further back there. That was the number 24 car up in the air. Utsumi's up in the air off the back of, I think that might have been Fittipaldi Jr. potentially. It was one of the Van Amersfoort cars. It could have been Doikmedjian as well, potentially. I'm not quite sure who that was. Further contact, Biron Bakhti into the wall, courtesy of contact with the 25 car of Samir Ben. And those two got into it yesterday as well. You may remember race 1 at Hugenholtz. Biron Bakhti tapped into a spin by Samir Ben. First straight at the end of the first lap, and they've come together again. Well, well, well. Biron Bakhti unfortunately going no further. The two Yenza Motorsport cars getting into each other for the second time in as many races. Here's the aerial moment we were discussing just now. It was the American racer Arius Doikmedjian who ended up being the takeoff ramp there rather than Fittipaldi Jr. And oh dear, that was frankly quite lucky that the only the suspension took the brunt of that, but certainly could have gone in at worse angles. But the 26 car going no further. Biron Bakhti, who comes from a racing family. His cousin, P.T. Biron Bakhti, is currently in Europe racing a Porsche GT3 car under the Singha Racing Team TP12 banner. But unfortunately, safety car is out because of that car stranded at Tarzan. Start is also under investigation. But a lot was going on there in the final sector of that first lap, and at least a couple of cars are going to be in trouble. And that was a very dramatic start to the race. 2 incidents in practically 2 corners. But nothing affecting the Prema stronghold at the top of the order. The top 5 all Prema racing cars. Taylor Barnard there in 6th place ahead of Nikita Bedrin, who of course was trying to get up into the podium positions on the first lap. Into the pits has come that 24 car of Utsumi's. I'm sure that with that airborne moment, the suspension is probably a bit out of sorts as well as the more obvious front wing damage. Never good to go airborne in a single-seater. They haven't exactly got Rolls-Royce-esque suspension, let's say. Utsumi's just the 19 years old, actually one of the more elder statesmen on the grid really at 19, as Yenza Motorsport collectively shaking their heads. Of course, Rasmus is another of the Yenza cars, so in 3 corners or so, they had 3 of their cars in strife. Samir Ben and Biron Bakhti into each other, and Rasmus Utsumi's doing his best impression of a Concorde pilot. I think at 19 years old, born in April of 2003, Utsumis is one of a few people on the grid who would have been even alive when Concorde was flying, so I can get away with that reference there. But his debut year in cars as well, actually, for Utsumis, so he's a kind of a holdout from karting. He spent a long time in go-karts. He's now into the world of car racing here in the ADAC F4 Germany. Of course, also the debut season of this Generation 2 Tatus F4 car, more powerful Abarth engine and the addition of the Halo all-new car. And that's unfortunate for Nanhavid Birombakdi. It's been a weekend to forget so far. Again, collision with the very same driver, the very same teammate, Samir Ben, coming out of Hugenholtz yesterday. And now this morning, they've come together again on the main straight. I'm sure that young man is going to be stewing a bit before race 3. Hopefully he can get a better run of things in our third and final race. So then the car was being cleared away there, and I reckon that should all be cleared, I was just going to say, in time for the safety car to come in this lap. And sure enough, it flashes up on your screen as I am mid-thought. Safety car will be in on this lap then. You see there those harsh bumps at Rob Slottermaker bend. I'm sure that will be of strife to any team suffering porpoising come the Grand Prix, that rough tarmac at Rob Slottermaker bend. Chevlac turn 7, the corner they just went through. They're now going into turn 8. Turn 7 is a very bravery required kind of corner, especially if you're trying to make an overtake. It's a very rare thing to see an overtake into turn 7, particularly in single-seaters, but it can be done. It has been done. But know that if we see it happen, you're witnessing something quite special. So then it's a 5-car stronghold for Prema at the top of the order. Safety car is now leaving the field behind for Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli to determine the fate of everybody as to when we get going. When will Antonelli pull the pin? Absolutely crawling, practically on the pit limiter, as he heads out of turn 12, the second element of the Hans Ernst section of the circuit, and pushes the pedal now. He's gone earlier than he did yesterday. Car number 25 with a drive-through penalty. Samir Ben being punished for that collision with Nanhavid Birombakdi. As Andrea, Kimi, Antonelli leads them away once again. We go back to racing with 22 minutes left to go here at the Zandvoort circuit, and it is Antonelli with the lead. Peeling off the circuit there goes Samir Ben. Gets that penalty served as soon as he can. Side by side, further back among the Van Amersfoort drivers. Some tyre squeal going on further back there. I think that might have been out of Michael Sauter. And side by side still among the Van Amersfoort drivers, that's Emo Fittipaldi trying to get back at Brando Badoa, as off circuit has gone the 19 car of Valentin Kloos. Valentin Kloos, who only just turned 15 years old, was only just permitted to join in with the ADAC F4 Championship. And the youngster, unfortunately, is off the circuit. Valentin Kloos, who has not been present at the last 2 rounds because he was too young to partake. Had a solid run yesterday, but unfortunately in the gravel trap over at turn 2 at the moment. And if he doesn't get that going, it could well be another safety car, because, and sure enough, a safety car is deployed as I say that, because the exit of Gerlach is not somewhere where you want to leave a car stranded. And the marshals spring into action. Let's see if we get a replay of exactly what happened there to Gerlach. Safety car board's upside down, and it was live on television. I'm sure that will be sent to the family WhatsApp group later on today, eh? PHM racing car is in the process of being recovered then, and they're fairly efficient here at Zandvoort, especially in the corners where they've got the crane all ready to go. So I don't think this is going to be too long of a safety car. They might struggle to do it in just the one lap, but certainly I'd expect that within 2 laps we will be sorted. And always contact between Sauter and Kloos that has triggered this safety car then. Or indeed the car safety, if you've got the sign upside down. And there goes Valentin Kloos. Kloos, of course, wearing the red numbers. The red numbers denote the rookie class here in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship. So that will be the drivers in their first season in cars. Or their first year, at least. And while the marshal was most amused by her error with the safety car board, Valentin Kloos obviously stone-faced after that moment with Michael Sauter. So then the car is behind the barriers, and the safety car queue is already out at turn 12. So we are going to have one more lap under safety car, but the barrier, the tractor now behind the barrier. So the track is now clear, but we are going to have to do one more lap behind the safety car, just for safety's sake, I reckon. There is the PHM racing car, the second generation Tatus Formula 4 chassis. Which made its debut in the UAE Championship over the winter. A championship that Rafael Camara came second in with 6 victories. That was his first car racing series, if I recall his career progression correctly. Plenty of the drivers out in the UAE over the winter. Safety car in this lap. So it won't be long before we go back to racing conditions. Worth noting, so many of these drivers are at this point even under 16. There are a few drivers, and this will probably make some of you feel old, who were born in 2007 during Lewis Hamilton's first season of racing and Sebastian Vettel's first season of racing, which is just a troubling statistic, really, isn't it? Fernando Alonso hasn't won a world championship in the lifetime of some of these drivers. For more that makes me feel old, head to my Twitter. The safety car in this lap, and the racing will get back underway with just over 16 minutes left on the board. Now let's see when Antonelli releases the pin this time, and let's see whether this safety car breeds another safety car. We've had 2. Preferably, we'd like to avoid the 3rd. Safety car might need a top-up at the petrol tanks anyway. So then Antonelli weaving the tyres. He's leaving it a bit longer than he did last time. He went mid-corner during one of the safety cars here at turn 13 yesterday. Is he going to do the same today? No. He continues to hold. He continues to hold. He's going to punch it now. There we go. Antonelli fires away in the number 12 car. I don't think Camara was caught napping particularly. Looks like one of the Van Amersfoort cars is challenging Taylor Barnard. In fact, sorry, make that Nikita Bedrin. They fan out further back. Some of the Prema cars are under pressure from Taylor Barnard. That's Larson and Wharton side by side, locking up once again on the cold tyres. And the PHM car is just about interloping now with the Prema machinery. Taylor Barnard up into the top 5. There's Sauter, this time cleanly through turn 2. And both of the PHM cars have managed to dispatch, I believe that's Conrad Larsson, that's been dropped down to 7th in the last of the Prema cars. Conrad, he was a podium finisher yesterday. Yes, that is the 20 car further back. Some scrapping among the Van Amersfoort drivers as well. And the 33 cars made up some positions there. Badoa having to make the car wide because Mo Fittipaldi Jr. is still all over the back of him. And off track there goes one of the Van Amersfoort machines. Was that Badoa? Yes, it was. Brando Badoa drops to the back then. Or practically the back. Has lost a lot of time there. We've got through this first lap of racing post-safety car without too much hassle. Antonelli will now be hoping to settle into building a comfortable advantage once again. You see he's already got a good couple of car lengths over Raffaele Camara. Gap is just under a second, 0.83 of a second, and side by side further back, that is Samir Ben trying to get up the inside of Jonas Reed, and he does so. Of course, Samir Ben was practically at the back of the order anyway. He got a drive-through penalty for his collision with Biron Bakhti, but that was rather negated by the safety car, locking up the brakes there at Gerlach, but both of them making it through okay. Over the bumps they go at Rob Slotemacher. Through Chevlac they go, turn 7 of this 14-corner layout. It's 10 corners to the right and 4 to the left, so I imagine these, as we see a bit of a lock-up there from Meyer Verg, I think it's a bit of a circuit where the front left tyre, I should say, is only good for the recycling heap at the end of the race. Come firing down towards turns 11 and 12, the Hans Ernst Benz at the moment. It's turns 13 and the wildly banked Arie Luijendijk, turn 14, the final corner of the lap. Barnard coming under pressure then from Nikita Bedrin. We've seen Bedrin make some bold overtakes yesterday here at Zandvoort, and he may well soon be pressuring his own teammate, which I'm sure PHM Racing watch with bated breath. And sure enough, there goes Bedrin, dives up the inside at turn 3, Hugenholtz. But has he compromised his run? You always do compromise your run slightly by taking the banking in such a manner, but I think he's just about stayed ahead there. He managed to cover off the run of Taylor Barnard, and Nikita Bedrin is through into 5th place. That is the slower way around the corner that Bedrin performed. However, he managed to block off the run of Barnard, and that's what counted as the Van Amersfoort drivers continue to scrap. That was the 17 car making way. That's Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. making up positions. Meanwhile, going defensive is Stenchel, the Norwegian driver. Absolute ace in the world of karting. Transferring his skills over now to circuit racing, side by side at the moment as they run down towards 11 and 12 at Hans Ernst. And his teammate, Doit Medjien, gets the better of him there. Also did see a few spits of rain down at turn 8 that time by. I do hope that was an optical illusion, because that would be another twist in the tail, wouldn't it? There's a replay of Nikita Bedrin up the inside at Hugenholtz turn 3. Nicely done. It's a move we've seen him pull already this weekend in our first race yesterday afternoon. He heard the tyres squealing there for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. He's clearly pushing on. The gap is 1.6 seconds. So the pushing is working. Fastest lap of the race so far, unsurprisingly, belongs to him. And there goes Meyer Berg, making a position up there on Michael Sauter, and Samir Ben has followed her through as well. So Meyer Berg, the Ferrari Driver Academy representative, up a position in what is a very tight-knit pack at the moment. You've got Brando Badoa trying to recover at the back of the order in that Van Amersfoort car. Just trying to find a way around Sauter. Look to the inside at turn 8. That's where he collided with Jonas Reed yesterday. So Brando Badoa definitely not averse to diving up the inside at that corner. Samir Ben covers off the inside line as they go through turn 10. Sauter trying to get back through. Of course, Meyer Berg dived up his inside, compromised his run, and that's what allowed Samir Ben to get through on the 21 car, the distinctive red and white livery for the Swiss driver Michael Sauter of the Team Sauter Engineering and Design outfit. It's a very small team, family run. Nine minutes of racing left to go then. And it is Andrea Kimi Antonelli at the front of the order once again, the Mercedes Academy driver. Who was born the same year as Nico Rosberg, debuted in Formula 1 2006. Of course, 10 years later, Rosberg would be taking the world title for Mercedes in the 2016 Abu Dhabi finale. And certainly, I'm sure that representatives of the Mercedes Formula 1 team have been watching the progress of their junior, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, this year. They have good cause to be excited for this talent that they've got on their books. Already 35 points clear in this championship, showing well across Europe in Formula 4 machinery, as indeed is Raffaele Camara, who has signed to the Ferrari Driver Academy, and James Wharton also a part of that academy. Charlie Wirtz in third place then. He had to fight from the back of the order after not getting a good start at all yesterday. Wirtz had to come back all the way through to, I think he ended up finishing 5th. Having at one point been 19th of 19. Charlie Wirtz, along with his brother, have been very successful in karting. Of course, mentored by father Alex, who raced in Formula 1 for the likes of Benetton and Williams, and was also a long-time test driver for the McLaren Formula 1 team in the 2000s. Famously spent the entire 2003 season trying to get the McLaren MP418 to work, and it never did it? That concept carried over to the 2004 car after Alex Wirtz continued to try and develop the MP418, but usually ended up, unfortunately, having quite major crashes. Much like his father, Charlie Wirtz is one of the taller drivers in this paddock as well, and I imagine in these Formula 4 cars in particular, having that height advantage / disadvantage, it certainly is a disadvantage in these little cars, because you do carry that little bit of extra weight just by your very nature. It becomes less of a factor as you work your way up the ladder. More power to play with, etc. You often hear, of course, stories the likes of Nico Hülkenberg even having to design the car around someone of that height. Good battle this, though, between Wirtz and Wharton, who will be determined this time around to get onto that podium. Yesterday, he was behind another Prema car. He was behind Conrad Larsen. Oh, and locking up there was Antonelli. Again, just because he's got an advantage, don't think he stopped trying. 2.8 seconds already, the gap between himself and Kamara since we went back to green flag conditions with just over half the race to go. So in 10 minutes, he's built himself a 3-second buffer, which is very good going in these identical Tatters Abarth Formula 4 cars. But Wirtz and Wharton, I'm sure that's going to get interesting in the next couple of minutes. As I was saying, Wharton was sat there in 4th place for much of the race yesterday in race 1. Ended up missing out on that podium, and he'd like to stamp his authority over Charlie Wirtz here. Of course, Wirtz, to my knowledge, not signed to any of the Formula 1 academies yet, whereas Wharton is signed to the FDA, the Ferrari Academy, and I'm sure it always helps as an academy driver to beat those of you around who perhaps don't have that golden ticket just yet. Nikita Bedrin, having got past Taylor Barnard 3 or 4 laps ago, has dropped Taylor in the 77, and once again that PHM racing car, now that Bedrin has cleared his teammate, Bedrin is once again closing in on the Prema machinery. He's definitely got the car underneath him for a podium this weekend, but he has not quite had the starts yet. I think the first lap seems to hinder Bedrin on each occasion. Of course, he was on the gravel on the exit of Tarzan turn 1 on the first lap after going side by side with James Wharton, and that took him down a few places. So Bedrin on the recovery here, and if he can close up to the back of Wharton before the end of the race, I'm sure he won't hesitate to have a go, but he is running out of time. Ideally, he will want Wirtz and Wharton to start scrapping with each other and see if maybe he can find an open door. This is the battle for 3rd place, the final step on the podium. Out at the front of the order, Andrea Kimi Antonelli is our race leader on this lap 15 of a race that has been hindered by a pair of safety cars to this point. Of course, we've lost both Valentin Kloos, the debutant this weekend, and Nanhadvid Biron-Bakdi, who for the 2nd race in a row had a collision with his ADAC Motorsport teammate Samir Ben. No animosity over lunch, I'm sure. There's the 34 car of Stenshorn, who's still under pressure. He's been demoted by a few of his fellow Van Amersfoort drivers since we went back to green flag conditions. Fittipaldi has gotten past him, so has Doit Medjian. We saw that happen on the first lap after the safety car came in. Now he's under pressure from Meyer Berg. Utsami's behind in 12th place. Of course, Utsami's in 12th position. He was the car that went airborne on the very first lap. Got into the back of Samir Ben, who has been sorry, apologies, he was in the back of the number 2 car, Doit Medjian, on the first lap, and I'm rather surprised they sent the car back out there, because usually when you send a Formula 4 car or any single-seater airborne, you end up with suspension damage, but they checked it over, they put a new front wing on the car, and underway he was, and once now it's looking like a good decision, because he's there on the fringes of the top 10. He's going to score decent points. He could well get a rookie class podium as well, because he's there behind Stenshorn and Meyer Berg. Stenshorn is currently 3rd among the rookies, and Utsami is there in 4th among the rookies in 12th overall. If he can find a way through, that would benefit his rookie class efforts. There's the Van Amersfoort Racing battle between Emerson Fittipaldi Jr., once again being supported by his legendary twice world champion, twice Indy 500 winning father, Emo Sr. I don't think it's out of question that we see the Fittipaldi family sharing a car at some point. Emo can still be coaxed into a racing car. It's proven a few years ago at a WEC race at Interlagos. I think if the right offer came up, he'd love to race with his namesake, Emerson Fittipaldi Jr. Stenshorn still under pressure from Meyer Berg as they turn through turn 13 onto Arie Luyendyk for the penultimate time. This will be the final lap of the race, which is now confirmed on the screen. Antonelli crossing the line with less than 1 minute to go. So he's on his final tour. He should be able to take it as a tour. He could wait for the turn 10 Teddy if he really wants to. Not any such luxuries though for Stenshorn. With Meyer Berg stalking him every inch of the way. Just getting a little bit of a replay here of Stenshorn locking up, and also an off-track moment there for Badoa. So the hard-pressed race of Brando Badoa continues to get worse. He's had a couple of errors in this one, and he's ended up down in 16th place as a result. He'll be looking to regroup for race number 3. Andrea Kimi Antonelli has once again performed a masterclass. The number 12 car is about to take its 7th win of the season in 8 races. The only time he hasn't won was a 4th place at Spa in race number 3. Of course, that will be a partially reversed grid race number 3. That's exactly what we'll have later on today as well. But for now, Andrea Kimi Antonelli will extend his championship lead over Rafael Camara. He will once again take the spoils at Zandvoort. It's a race win for Andrea Kimi Antonelli. Rafael Camara taking 2nd place. Charlie Wirtz once again ensuring a Prema lockout on the podium. James Wharton taking 4th place ahead of Nikita Bedrin. Taylor Barnard taking 6th place. And just crossing the line there behind Larson was the Fittipaldi-Doikmejian battle, and Fittipaldi did hold on to 8th place. Stenshorn also retained the last place on the top 10 as well. And so Antonelli once again proving his superstar status. Everyone who's anyone is talking this man up as a star of the future. Antonelli has been doing Antonelli things all weekend long. The signature performance, get out the front from pole position and stay there. That's exactly what Andrea Kimi Antonelli has done to take the win over Rafael Camara. Charlie Wirtz in 3rd place, James Wharton in 4th. Nikita Bedrin rounds out the top 5 ahead of Taylor Barnard, his fellow PHM Racing driver. Larson and Fittipaldi rounding out our top 8. That will make it interesting front row later on for race number 3. Doikmejian in 9th place there, ultimately ahead of Martinez Stenshorn. Maya Verg taking 11th for the Iron Dames. Rasmus Utsemies taking 12th ahead of Michael Sauter. Jonas Reed recovering to 14th. Samir Ben takes 15th ahead of Brando Badoa. Jules Castro, our only other finisher. Valentin Klus ending up in the gravel at turn 3. Hugenholtz, or rather a Gerlach, in turn 2. And of course, Biram Bakhti only completing the first lap after contact on the main straight with Samir Ben. Meanwhile, the drivers already at the podium, and Andrea Kimi Antonelli punching the air once again. Another victory for this young rising star. A career filled with rocket fuel and surely going straight to the moon. Andrea Kimi Antonelli. You see there a bit of Mercedes presence. Some in Prema gear, some in Mercedes gear. I said they were watching him closely. And according to that driver classification, Camara is up ahead, but that again gives off the impression that Antonelli hasn't scored any points, which doesn't match what I know of the situation. In theory, Antonelli should be 42 points clear after that result. So I'd take the order on your screen with a mighty pinch of salt. Antonelli certainly isn't 7th in the standings either. He scored more than 50 points today. In fact, he scored 50 points this weekend, so I think that is the glitch. I've spotted the glitch. They're seemingly scoring him as 2 separate people this weekend, which is not how it works. He's very good, but he is still one driver. So there you see immediately on the data, the laptop's already out. This is probably why Prema are quite so good. Don't even go up to the podium and you've already got the data out in front of you. You listening in?
No, because it stopped working. Okay. Yep.
Kimi, let's do a quick.
There you go, taken away by the photographers, but just interesting there to hear a little bit of the conversation between himself and his race engineer. If that photographer works the podium every single race, he's going to have a lot of photos of Antonelli before the end of the year, isn't he? We have the three drivers already up on the podium. Of course, all of these guys with the partially reversed grid in race number 3 are going to have to work very hard to be in this position again later on this afternoon. It will be 4:30 local time that we go racing again in the ADAC Formula 4 Championship for their 3rd race of the weekend. Antonelli will be looking to get another clean sweep, as he did last time out at Hockenheim. Onto the podium comes Charlie Wirtz. Wirtz, who has only had one podium so far this season, so podium number 2 for the Austrian racer Raffaele Camara, rather more familiar with this ceremony. Often second place to Andrea Kimi Antonelli. How he would like to prevent that from being the case again this time, next time I should say, for race number 3. Andrea Kimi Antonelli though on the top step once again. And now we see the podium presentation with the Prema Power team engineer joining them up there. Now for the national anthem of Italy. There we go then. Antonelli once again on the top step. Prema Power team once again all smiles. May as well paint the podium red, eh? Andreas Bachmeier presenting the winning trophy. Of course, Camara will once again walk away with 2 sets of silverware as the rookie class winner. But for now, he will receive the 2nd place podium. And from Yuri Isaac as well, which is interesting, isn't it? He's obviously up there ahead of the Porsche Carrera Cup races we have to come this morning. And unfortunately, if you appear on the podium ahead of a podium ceremony, you often volunteer yourself for the presentation honours. I think that's exactly what Mr. Isaac has just found out. So then we will see the rookie class trophy now bestowed to Raffaele Camara as well. The Ferrari Driver Academy star taking 2nd place once again. I think those rookie class honours are of small consolation to Camara. He's only had 1 win so far. He's been 2nd to that man, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, on 4 occasions so far this season. 5 occasions, I should say. In fact, this makes it 6. So he will want to try and best Andrea Kimi Antonelli in race number 3, but they're both going to have to work from the 4th row of the grid thanks to a partially reversed grid in race number 3. It's going to be compelling viewing when we go racing for the 3rd time this weekend in the ADAC F4 Germany at Zandvoort. And Andrea Kimi Antonelli sprays the champagne, as does Charlie Wirtz. And that rounds out our view of race number 2.